What's up, everybody? It is the best spot, KidSmoove's, and I am back with another one of those videos. Yes, this is my top games of 2022. Now, I'm gonna go a little bit different this year. I'm not going to be what I think is the consensus best, but these are literally my personal picks, my personal favorites, and games you might have missed out on because you were too busy with the other big games. Now, I will give a shout out and honorable mention to the great games, game of the year candidates such as Elden Ring. Incredible game, launched, I want to say March or February of 2022, captured pretty much all of our attention. I've gotten to beat it, which was happy about that, but I did pour a whole lot of time, talk about hundreds of hours into Elden Ring. Incredible game, great game, deserved all the awards that I've gotten. God of War Ragnarok, of course, was a Game of the Year contender, nominee, won a ton of awards, rightfully so, with awesome visuals, great storytelling, action-packed. I personally haven't finished the game, but I mean, by the time this video airs or by the time the new year comes in, I might have finished this game by the time you're watching this video. But regardless if I finished the game or not, it probably wasn't going to make this list because I feel like with God of War Ragnarok and God of War 2018, been there, done that, another great game. See you later. Also, want to give a shout out to Plague Tale Requiem. This game was great, looks great. I still personally haven't finished it. I'm probably maybe a quarter away through it at the time of this video. No complaints. It probably would have made my list. But again, I want to focus on the games that, you know, were truly, thoroughly my favorites. Some of them, most of them actually I've completed. Some of them I put tons of hours into. And there are games that I really don't think people should miss out on. So I'm going to be talking about games that probably missed your radar. So this list is going to be different from last year's list and different from the year before that. But I'm pretty sure people will be happy. So let's get into my top 10 games or my favorite games or most underrated games of 2022. Let's get into it. First game is at number 10, As Dusk Falls. Now, this was a game that came out from Xbox Game Studios through the publishing team. Interior Night did this game. Very different style of game. This was like a late summer game. It's a mixture of like a Telltale, but the story, the gameplay mechanics really is what going to turn a lot of people off. It's not like your typical, you control the entire thing, but choices in this game was very important. The story was very, very good. The music, the soundtrack was very, very good. Not a fan of the, the graphic slideshow situation, but they did do enough impactful decisions and choice base that they did in this game, which essentially made the player play through the game at least 3 or 4 times. I played through the game 3 or 4 times to get multiple different endings, multiple different outcomes. It was an incredible body of work by Interior Night. Definitely recommend. This was a day 1 drop on Game Pass. Definitely recommend to check it out if you haven't already. It's called As Dusk Falls, and this did nab up an award or 2 at the Video Game Awards by Jeff Keighley. So, next game, number 9, The Chant. Yes, this cosmic horror game kind of just like stealth dropped. This game, visually, this is a next-gen only experience, so you can experience on Xbox Series XS, PS5, and obviously PC. Cosmic horror, you play as this girl, I think her name is Jessica, and you're on this retreat island, and they get into like some weird stuff. And the thing about this game, it's not like the games that like Dark Pictures make. It's not like The Quarry or Until Dawn or anything, which I thought it would be. It's more of a third-person action horror game, and the thing about this game that makes it stands out is you're not given like a gun or like a superpower weapon to fight your way through. You're given like tree branches and materials to craft, and it's really like, okay, well, I'm literally at the mercy of my resources, and which added a gameplay element that I could definitely appreciate. It's a short game, but visually looks gorgeous. Running at 4K, ray tracing, 60 FPS. Definitely highly recommend The Chant. This is I think this game's like under $60. It's probably on sale. Highly underrated because it's have barely been played by anyone. I recommended it to a few of the PX members. They seem to like it. I enjoyed it. I'm still playing it actually. But The Chant is available on both Xbox Series consoles and the PlayStation 5. Number 8. Now this is going to come in as a funny, but Hello Neighbor 2. Man, this game, Hello Neighbor, we all are familiar with it. This game sort of blew up in the last few years. They made a couple spin-off games like Secret Neighbor and Hello Guest. Hello Neighbor 2 is a direct sequel, and to Hello Neighbor 1, but it also tie in from things like Hello Guest and Secret Neighbor. The thing about this game is that this is like a streamer's dream game. This game is best for streaming, best for best for how-tos. The thing I like about this game is that, sure, there's no real storytelling. The story is told just in imagery. Everybody's is silent. The puzzles in this game are very sophisticated. Great puzzle and gameplay building. Is physics based. You have to literally use common sense while also trying to maneuver around people who are in your way. You're sneaking in houses, restaurants, museums, and you're trying not to get caught by the people that are inside. And you have to, solve puzzles to get keys and to eventually get your way to the next level and uncover the secrets that's going on. Hello Neighbor 2 is available in Xbox Game Pass. It was a day one game. I'm enjoying it. I put out a few tutorial videos, some how-to videos, some guides available. Definitely give it a try. It's more so like the games that the kids are playing, but this game, it is actually fun, and I definitely recommend giving it a try. Number 7 on my list is Amisha. This is like some a Souls kind of a Souls-Borne sort of inspired game. It is tough. But the thing about this game is I like the atmosphere, the colors, the environment. It has that Bloodborne vibe. It does have different things that it does to set itself apart. This game, like I said, it is challenging. Now, I will admit, I haven't 100% complete this game at the time of this recording of this video, but I did play a great deal through it. I did like what the developers have done. It runs solid, looks good. The game doesn't have any really real errors. The game is just more so it is difficult, it is tough, but it's you get through a game like this through trial and error. I thought the game looked good, thought the game played great, streamed it a couple of times, and I definitely recommend you guys giving it a look. It's called Amisha. It's available on both Xbox and PlayStation 5. I believe it's on last-gen consoles as well, but it's one of those games, if you enjoyed the games like Elden Ring and you enjoyed the games like Bloodborne and stuff, these little, I think that 2022 was the year for the Souls-Borne knockoff that actually did it right. So stay tuned. Number 6 is Bright Memory Infinite. Man, this game was they showed this game at the Xbox Showcase in 2020. Now, they did come out with the demo that launched with the Xbox Series, which was Bright Memory. I thought that game was cool for what it was, a little 45-minute demo. Bright Memory Infinite was like the full game version of that, which can be done in about a couple hours. The game is meant to be played multiple times throughout on harder difficulties, making sure you get the collectibles, beating your times. This was a great first person shooter. This game, it just did, as for a video game, it did everything I needed to do. Action packed, visibly gorgeous, graphics are amazing, story good enough to sustain the time that you take on the game. I really had no issues with the game, and I played the damn thing maybe 3-4 times before I finally uninstalled it because I have nothing else to do with the game. 100% completion, but it is a high recommendation. It's available on Xbox Series X and S, PS5, also PC. I think this came out on PC in 2021, but it's on my 2022 list because it got its console release, its highly anticipated console release this year, and I thought it was a wonderful release and still recommend to play to this day. Number 5, Tinykin. Now this game came out of nowhere. This was like a day one release on Xbox Game Pass. Thought the game looked cool. It has it's a mixture of 3D, 2D, well not 3D, HD, 2D visuals, like so cartoon. It's like a cartoon characters inside a a traditional game world. So colors popped, and it's a platformer, puzzles. It's inspired by Pikmin. Story, the narrative in this game is pretty good. I mean, unfortunately, there's no voice acting, but the story is told through, text, visuals, sound, and they did a wonderful job through this game. And I thought it was like an amazing, I picked up this game, tried it, and it turned out to be literally a whole entire session that spanned me across maybe 3 or 4 days, and I enjoyed every minute of it. It's definitely a top 5 game for me. I was thoroughly shocked, and like I said, this is a game that most people probably haven't played, and I mean, you should play it. I mean, highly recommend it. It is a good game, just a video game that kind of that solves that. Nails story, also nails it in the visuals, but in the gameplay mechanics itself, it had some cool gameplay quirks that they added that sets itself apart from many other platforms and adventure games in the genre. So now, number 4, Stergos, Curse of the Stars. Man, this game, another one of those games that just kind of was like slipped under the radar. I had an eye on it. It finally came out. I was able to get like a review copy, and man, I spent hours, I mean hours on this game. I'm talking about maybe 40 plus hours on this game, and I still didn't get all the boss fights. This is another game, like a fantasy Souls like game. Stergos, Curse of the Stars. You play as this warrior who's she comes from a family who are like elite trained. They have special abilities, and she kind of get like lost from the pack, and you're doing these missions and quests for other people in this land, because the world's become consumed and under like dark spells by this guy named Eumenides. And this game, what it does well is that sure, it borrows a lot from the Souls genre, but it does have a legit story with voice acting. I like the combat in this game. I like the abilities that you get in this game. The visuals were okay. It was just another game that I sort of like put a lot of time into. And for a while, it was literally one of my leading candidates for game of the year behind Elden Ring. But some other games came out that I enjoyed, but Stergos, Curse of the Stars, man, it's one of those like sleeper hits, like I said, that not many people played, but that should play, and it does a lot of things right. The thing is, I want to say is about the games like the games from Software makes, like the Bloodbornes, the Sekiros, and Elden Ring. They typically have these performance flaws, and they rely too much on lore to get the story across, where these games that I'm mentioning don't heavily rely on lore, and they do put effort with an actual story that has to make sense, and they do nail it in the department of performance while maintaining that same level of combat and gameplay style. So Stergos, Curse of the Stars, definitely a recommendation, high recommendation if you haven't watched my review, and it's number 4 on my list. Now, number 3 is going to be very, very controversial. Yes, the Callisto Protocol. Now, this game, late release, obviously came out in December of this year of 2022, and this game before release had high expectations, a lot of anticipation, and then that release kind of sort of burnt off. People that weren't feeling the combat, the direction. So the game launched with some bugs, and the game became like the cool thing to hate, and I am guilty of my criticism of the game. Now, I do still feel my criticisms were legit for the Callisto Protocol. Wasn't a fan of the zoomed in camera, the limited field of view, because I felt like it put you in horrible situations when you're in combat with more than one enemy. I didn't like that all the animations had a lot. They did so much with the animations where it took a lot of time to do simple things such as shoot, reload, and swing your weapon all things that were necessary in a game that became a detriment to the game. But you know, as the game released, the studio did a lot of patches and updates to make the game, you know, more palatable. And I ain't gonna lie, man, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the visuals. I enjoyed the story. I enjoyed the gameplay once I got, you know, a hold of the gameplay mechanics and how to play. It became a blast to play, and I'm actually probably gonna do another run through, but I'm waiting on that new game plus. I'm 2 achievements short of the 100% completion. But the Callisto Protocol, it's not a long game. It's about somewhere in a neighborhood of 6 to 8 hours, depending on, you know, your skill. There's multiple difficulty levels. The game does a lot of things right as far as in the story department. For a game of that magnitude, I think the story was great. They did almost fumble it at the end, but the gameplay also, they took a risk, and I think it was a good risk because it worked out. And graphics, this is so far at the time of this recording, we haven't had an Unreal Engine 5 game with the exception of Fortnite. I think this is not Unreal Engine 5, but damn, the visuals is damn near close, and they did a good job with that. I played in the performance mode, which lacked ray tracing. I don't care. The visuals were top tier. There's no way any soul on earth playing the Callisto Protocol should be playing this game at 30 frames per second. It just doesn't feel right. But the game was good enough to the point where I was like, man, like, I'm looking at the Metascore, and this game is actually underrated. It's a lot better than what it reviewed, and I highly recommend it. I didn't do a formal review to this game, but I did play it a lot, and I do plan to play this game again on the hardest difficulty and get those final 2 achievements. But the Callisto Protocol is number 3 on my top games of 2022. Number 2, HiLife. Now, HiLife, man, was a game. Now, this game has been on my radar since the summer. And, you know, I thought it was going to be more so like the jokes and the commentary, which did play a role. But this game was more so of a surprise to me because, I expected it to be funny. I expected it to them to break the fourth wall. What I didn't expect is a compelling gameplay experience. Now, this became an awesome first-person shooter with an actual decent story that worked for the setting, and the game ended up delivering classic platforming and combat arena shooting. It delivered classic and sophisticated boss fights that worked and presented a challenge. This game delivered multiple biomes where the game was able to show its visual prowess through multiple diversity of scenes, whether it's evenings, early afternoons, early mornings, whether it's cities, alien worlds, factories, whatever. The game looked good in every scenario it was in, and I was just impressed. It got a patch, I want to say within 24 or 48 hours of release to help its performance issues. I think day one it had like some frame rate issues, but ever since that patch, the game ran damn near flawlessly, and I enjoyed everything in this game. This game also has a ton of paths, a ton of paths you could take, a ton of, you know, directions it can go. I've missed a lot of different types of dialogues, tons of side quests, but the game was fun. Very fun. I had a good time playing this game, doing the bounties, turning in the bounties, getting new guns and new what did they I forget what they call the guns, man. Gatlians. All these Gatlians, they talk, they have their own personalities, their own special abilities, their own upgrade paths. HiLife, man, it was fun. HiLife was literally my favorite game, my favorite shooter this year. I had a great deal of time. I enjoyed this game. Every moment I decided to take a screenshot or a clip, I recorded a ton of gameplay. The game now, talking about this game, it's one of those things where you see the Metacritic score and you're like, what happened? Like, why is this number 2? And it's like I think the Metascore is like 65 or 66 or something like that. Metascore is bullshit. It's a lie. It has no reflection on what this game is. If you look at all the user scores of this game, it's high 80s, and where I think that's what it is. I think rightfully the game's at 8.5, but I had a blast with HiLife, and it really took me by surprise. I didn't expect to like it to this level as a video game. I expected it to be funny and to joke around with, and it'd be like some Oonga Boonga stuff, but it was actually a really good game. So HiLife, number 2. Now, number 1 on my list. Now, this is going to be a real surprise. Now, this game I did know about. This game I did keep an eye on. And this game I also anticipated now. But what the thing was, though, I did not buy this game day one. I waited. It got this Black Friday sale, and I bought it. And then once I started it, I could not put it down. This is literally the game that kept me from finishing God of War and A Plague's Tale. Still Rising by Nacon and Spider. This game is the perfect Souls-Borne clone, and how to make it to the point where I want to make a Souls-Borne. These guys said I want to make a Souls-Borne game, but I want to execute where From Software doesn't. And what was that? A compelling story, a choice system that matters, a performance that is unflawed. This performance, they have performance mode. You can play at 30 frames with ray tracing. You can play a fluctuating frame rate at high resolutions, or you can play it at a lot 60 FPS. And they have compelling boss fights. The only thing Still Rising that doesn't hit the bar with compared to games made by From Software is their boss fights aren't as, unique, or aren't as creative, or aren't as classic as what you would get in the Elden Ring, what you would get in the Bloodborne. But everything else, performance, graphics, story, RPG elements, absolutely blows it out of the water. Still Rising is literally the best Souls-Borne game not made by From Software. And it's also just like Asterigos, it doesn't rely on lore. They actually had to work in a story that is fully dialogued. And I thought at the time, this is like the French Revolution period, and it's an alternative history. It's with robots and whatnot. And the way that they put this game together, the setting, the area, the environment, it looks great. The music is awesome. The gameplay elements, it's a Souls-Borne game, so it's like superb, and it's done at a locked 60 FPS. So there's not going to be any issue with your response times and your ability to pull off moves. And they do throw in a challenge there. There's some difficulty settings for you. I didn't mess with the difficulty settings. I wanted to be challenged in this game, and I was challenged in this game. Now the thing is, I will admit the game isn't as hard as like an Elden Ring or a Bloodborne, because at the end of the day, this game does have a full-blown story to tell that they want you to experience and explore. And I mean, if you're getting your head smashed in every now and then, I mean, chances are you're probably not going to see the conclusion to the story. Whereas Bloodborne and Elden Ring, there's no really, it's just like there's sounds here and there, there's reading, there's just environmental storytelling and whatnot. So at the end of the day, you can get trounced for 30 hours by a boss, and doesn't really matter when you drop off. Where Still Rising is, there's a story, there is progression, there is secrets that are opened up to you, there are sub stories, there are side quests, there's a lot going on in this game. And I think maybe 40 hours into this game, and I enjoyed every bit of it. And I started a new game plus, and I'm going to also explore the DLC that came with the game. I definitely recommend Still Rising. I've showed off a ton of gameplay for this thing. It was my favorite game of 2022. I'm not saying that it's the best game of 2022. You know, those games were, you know, claimed by, you know, obviously Elden Ring and God of War, Plague's Tale, whatever, but it is my favorite game and a top 10 game easily for me, still rising. So hopefully you guys enjoyed my top 10 games list, and like I said, this is different. It's probably the most underrated games, but these are definitely my favorite games that came out as Dusk Falls: the Chant, Hello Neighbor 2, the Amisha, Bright Memory Infinite, Tiny Ken, Asterigos Curse of the Stars, the Callisto Protocol, High on Life, and Still Rising. If you enjoyed this video, man, let me know in the comment section. Hit the like button, hit the share button, and I will see you guys next year with some other gameplay, game video goodness. As always, Xbox is the best box. I am the best bot. Good night or good morning if you're on the other side of the globe. I'm out of here. Peace.